Hi, welcome in everyone. This is Julie Maxon, the Main Stamper, and I am here for your Monday card class and inspiration. We are going to be creating 3 cards. Here's a sneak peek. See how I'm not showing you all of the cards? I like to share them as we go along. So this card class is featuring the Hope and Peace stamp set, and it's a great Christmas greeting stamp set, perfect for really quick and easy Christmas cards. And I have 3 of them again to share with you tonight using this stamp set. And with your qualifying order this week, you're going to get those card kits for free. So that's really exciting. And I have all kinds of other really great news to share. There's a big sale happening starting tomorrow. There's a new kit that is available starting tomorrow, all kinds of good stuff. So I'm going to pop over to my workspace and kind of go over a few of those things with you before we jump into our class. Make sure you're saying hi as you jump on tonight. I love to know who's watching. And also just feel free to share your comments as I am stamping along and asking for your input, because sometimes I like to swap things out, and it's always fun when we do this together interactively. So let me get over to my workspace. And here we are. Again, this is going to be the Hope and Peace class today. And I'm calling it that because I'm really featuring the Hope and Peace sentiment stamp set. And this is in the mini catalog. With your $35 order this week, starting today, Monday through next Sunday, you're going to get our card kits for free. And those are the card kits that we're making tonight during the class. If you do a $50 order, you're going to get the card kits and a free gift from me. And you're going to use the host code BPR9P77S. So that is our host code for this week. And then we have the beautiful Hope and Peace stamp set. Now this is the Cling, the red rubber, which is really awesome. I love working with the red rubber. It's very traditional. And you've got a lot of sentiments in here. A lot of them are religious in nature. We've got God's blessings to you, which could be a year-round sentiment. Peace on earth, goodwill to all. With love and hope, again, that one can be a year-round sentiment. Merry Christmas is your most traditional. The rest of them really are Emmanuel, God with us, the weary world rejoices. Tidings of comfort and joy. I love all sentiments that are Christmas carols. And fun fact, this particular verse is from one of my very favorite ever Christmas carols. And I don't know if you guys know which Christmas carol this comes from, Tidings of Comfort and Joy. If you know it, shout it out in the comments because I'd like to know. I know you're going to be singing in your head. Which song is this? It is actually my favorite traditional Christmas carol. So we are using this stamp set, and it is on page 40 of your July to December mini, and I've got some little samples here, and of course over here we've got Peace to You, which is another great stamp set. So they kind of go together, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about things that are coming up, like the seasonal sale. Now this is the sale that I hinted at. This starts tomorrow, the 15th, and it runs for only 4 days long. Now what is on sale in the seasonal sale? Pretty much a lot of everything in the annual catalog. I was just looking to see if I have an annual catalog handy, and of course all I have is my master copy, which is a mad mess because I do a lot of scribbling in it. However, for the seasonal sale, pull out your annual catalog. This is what's on sale. So nothing in the mini catalog is on sale, just the annual catalog. And when I say just the annual catalog, we're talking about 10% off every punch in this catalog. And then there's going to be 15% off every stamp set in this catalog. And then we're going to do 20% off all of the dies. And then we've got 20% off all the embossing folders. And then we've got 20% off of the designer series paper that is not the specialty paper. So it's the $12 paper. 20% off is $9.60. I did send out this list with an email. I think it was yesterday. If you're not on my email list and you want to have all the good news, make sure you're getting on my email list. But this sale starts tomorrow, the 15th. It runs for 4 days. So it's just Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then it's done. Now this is Stampin' Up's sale for November. This is like their they're not going to probably do, I don't believe, a Black Friday anything, a Cyber Monday anything. They're doing their seasonal sale this week for 4 days. And it's a great time to get some things from your annual catalog, whether you're doing it for gift giving, you want to create a gift list for yourself and have someone shop for you for the holidays. But again, with your purchase, with the seasonal sale in the next 4 days, you can also double dip. And I love when I allow you to double dip, because you're not always allowed to double dip. But with me, you can double dip this week. And if your order's over 35 on the sale, you're still going to get free card kits. And if it's over 50 with the sale, you're going to get the free card kits and a gift. So again, that's what's going on. That's the big news. I do have sign up just for another day here. These are the 3 cards that I have designed for my November card class in the mail. This is a product-based card class. So you're making 2 of each design. So if you're interested in getting the kits in the mail plus half a pack of designer paper, a full bolt of ribbon, and a full pack of embellishments, make sure you're signing up for that, because the deadline is fast approaching. You don't have to have the stamp set to work with that one, but if you do have it, it is quite handy. It's from the Boughs of Holly collection. So this is going to be our first card tonight. We're going to start out with a really simple card, like simple, fast, and easy. And I'm really featuring products this week, specifically punches, that are on sale with the sale that starts tomorrow. So I wanted to kind of tie in some of the sale items with the current, Christmas type themes, right? So you can see on this one that I've used this rectangular punch, and I've done, of course, the sentiment, Merry Christmas, comes from our stamp set, A Hope and Peace. Here we go. We'll pull this back out real quick. So we've got Merry Christmas right here. And then I used designer series paper, and I used really fun paper for this one. But this is the Santa Express. Santa Express designer series paper. This one has a lot of fun colors in it. Now, of course, we've got some reds and greens. We've got the ho ho ho's and the fa la la la's. Some fun polka dots. Here's the fa la la's. So one side is just really kind of more generic, which is where I was focusing today. The other side, of course, has, you can die cut out Santas, there's presents, there's trains, of course, right? So this is, if you look at paper sometimes and you see some of these bigger images and you're like, man, that's just not for me. If you flip it over and look at the other side, you probably will prefer the other side if you're not a fan of the really main focal content of the designer series paper. Okay, so let me move some of these aside. We're going to work on this very first card here. I have a real red card base, even though the paper in this paper pack is actually Poppy Parade. So you can kind of see these 2 reds here are much lighter than the red card base. They do still go together, and I did want to stick with a traditional red and greens for this first card before we turn to some different color cards as we go on. I just checked messages real quick. So hi everybody that's saying hi as you're jumping on. I really love hearing that you're with me tonight. This is so awesome. So again, we've got the red card base, and we have just a nice white layer. I just really am a fan of the 4x5 1/4 layer. Now again, this is the designer series paper. I chose the Fa La La. So this is a really simple card setup. And this is Shaded Spruce, which I find to be one of the most difficult green colors to work with. Now I want you guys to know that green is my favorite color, if you didn't know that about me. And this Shaded Spruce is a gorgeous green. However, I feel like it's a really hard color to work with, and I can't quite put my finger on why it's such a hard color to work with, but it is a hard color to work with. But I made it work today, and we're going to actually do a little bit of embossing with this Wintry 3D embossing folder. Now these are the nice little 3-inch embossing folders, and I have used the snowflake design over, and I have used that one to probably you guys are sick of looking at it. But anyway, here is the pine boughs. I'm going to use this one on the Shaded Spruce, and I'm putting it through my die cutting machine, and I'm using that nice 3D embossing plate that we have to use. number 4 plate with my base. So here's my little embossing folder, and here it is. And it's probably hard to see in the light, but we're gonna make it even more fabulous here. So let me move this out of the way and bring in some paper. And you may see that my paper is kind of messy. Here's my paper, and we're gonna actually do a little bit of sponging with some shaded spruce ink. And I've got a blender brush here. Now this is a great technique if you have a hard time with the blender brushes and an embossed piece and it just turns out terrible every time you do it. This is a really forgiving way to do it. If you have an embossed piece that is a color cardstock like I do right here, and you use the same tone on tone color, so I'm using shaded spruce ink on top of this shaded spruce embossed piece. I'm just going to do a little bit here and hopefully pick it up so that you can see, hopefully you can see the difference. So you can see where I've added the sponge right over here, and it really catches the highlight of these pine boughs as they're like kind of raised edges. And then it really makes this pop, like this whole design just pops so much more when you add in that sponging detail. And the forgiving part about it is it's still on the green cardstock. So even if I'm getting the green ink on spots where I really don't want necessarily green ink, because maybe I'm pushing down too hard, maybe I'm hurrying too fast, the reality is it's still going to hit the higher parts with a deeper color. And you're going to be able to see the embossed so much better. So hopefully that's showing up for you really well on camera. And in person, it's just so fabulous. I really love how that changes up the whole look of this paper here. So we're just going to do a little adhesive here. And now you can see I've got the poppy and I've got the shaded spruce, and they do look very Christmassy together. Not necessarily colors you would think are Christmassy, but they sure are. And I'm just going to put my designer series paper on. I'm leaving a little bit of white showing on the edge there, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to push this up against each other here, and it's going to leave a little edge of white. I'm going to flip this over and rub this from the back, and I can see that I have green ink on my fingers, because here we go. And this is why we do that from the back sometimes, because if you're pushing it here and you're getting the green ink off of your fingers on the back, it doesn't matter, right? We just don't want it on the front. So here's my front layer. So you can see that I've got a little bit of white peeking out on either side. And I'm going to bring in some red ribbon, and we're going to create a nice little bow. So let me bring my card back in so you can kind of see my card and what we're doing here. So I'm just going to cut my ribbon a little bit longer than this layer that I've got going on here. And I am going to wrap this ribbon around the back, and I'm going to attach it just along the seam. So I'm going to bring in my tape here. And this is just going to come along here. Now, depending on where you want it, you could definitely put it more on the red. You could put it more on the green. Or you could kind of split the difference and do the middle, which I think is where I'm going to go. So this is just going to run up and down the seam here. Put a little bit of tape on the back there. Let me grab a quick sip of water. I can feel my throat getting really dry, so I'm hoping to avoid that issue. There we go. And there it is. We've got that nice little red ribbon there. So we've got that, and I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive here on the back of my layer, and this is just going on flat. Now this red ribbon that's wrapped around, it's not a super thick ribbon, so it allows me to, again, I'm going to push from the back here, allows me to wrap it without it being super bulky where it adds too much of thickness. So you can get away with wrapping that one and putting it on there just like that. And now we're going to do some stamping, because we do need our sentiment. And I've got the Merry Christmas, and I've got real red ink. So I'm just going to go ahead and, on a scrap of paper here, do my very fancy Merry Christmas. This is really pretty. I'm always just such a fan of the different fonts. And we're going to bring in that rectangular punch. Now again, this is a punch that is on sale starting tomorrow. And I love this punch. This is just perfect to fit in our Merry Christmas. I'm just making sure I've got it centered. And there we go. We've got like a little postage stamp here. How cute is that, right? All right, moving some things aside. Now here's where the fun begins, because I punched out from the punch. I punched out from my designer paper, but I also punched out extra pieces because I'm terrible sometimes at making decisions. So I had punched out a little bit of red, a little bit of green. I might punch another green one real quick. So when you get your card kits in the mail this week, you will probably have one of each of these colors so that you can decide at home which ones you want to use. So, okay, those are like pretty much my favorite choices right now. I'll set that aside. Okay, so now I'm going to change it up a little bit because, you know, I love to change things up a little bit. So I used a very red one here and I used a very green one here on my original card, but I really want to use this fun one. So I think I'm going to change it up. And I'm trying to decide if I want ho, ho, ho. Now remember, if you put it O-O, that is incorrect. This time of the year, we want the ho, ho, ho. And I think I kind of like that, although maybe I want this green one really catches my eye too. I think I'm going to go with this one. I think ho, ho, ho is not going to make the cut. So tonight I'm going to just change it up just a little bit here and put that fun polka dot one on there. So I am flipping these over. There's Santa. He's waving at me. And I'm going to grab some dimensionals and try to not knock over everything in my craft room. And I'm just going to put one on each end. And my green one's going to come down here. And this one is going to come up here. So I'm just going to do a quick dry fit here just to make sure kind of about where I want them to go. So I'm kind of stacking them along. Even though they're postage stamps, right? They kind of almost look like they could be presents. And I think if you had a small, like a little bow, perhaps, I know there's like a little bow punch somewhere, long retired items, you could add some different elements to these little punched pieces and make them look even more like Christmas presents. I am kind of bumping them off the side here so that they're kind of a little bit over onto the white on each of these. I'm not trying to make them super centered on this card. I'm just looking to see where I'm going to put this guy. And I'm actually going to see where he's going to go here. I'm going to put a dimensional right there because that's where I want the corner of this one to land. And that'll work out really well. And then I'll put a dimensional right here. And then I'm going to kind of split the difference here. So sometimes it's easier to put your dimensionals down on your paper rather than just completely on your card piece that you're lifting up. And I'm just going to kind of center that right about there, I think. So there, I've got those all bumped up there nicely. And the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a nice little bow and add that onto my card. We do the bunny ears tonight. And again, I love to work off the spool. So I feel like there's less waste that way. But I'm definitely not sending you a spool of ribbon today. You will get a spool of ribbon though with the November card class. You can do that all on your own. You can cut as much as you like. And now I'm on the hunt for tear and tape. And my tear and tape roll is getting really low here. I'm going to have to keep that in mind. All right, so I'm just going to add a little tear and tape to the back of this bow. And get this off of there. And then onto here. So it makes it kind of look like the bow comes with this beautiful wrapped piece right here. And the last thing we're going to add onto this card is just some basic rhinestone jewels. We're not getting super fancy. It looks really cute just like this. You don't have to have all the bells and whistles all the time. So if you just have some basic jewels at home, these are perfect as well. I'm looking to see, you know what? I can see on my Take Your Pick tool, I have the little glue dot that belongs to something. I guess that one is stuck. We're gonna not worry about that right now. All right, let me get another one here. We'll put another one up here. If I can get it off there. Maybe I'm gonna go this way. And we'll get this guy over here. There we go. Do I have everybody on here? I feel like there's a glue dot right there. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Really merry, right? This is a very, very quick and easy, really traditional red and green card. Super fun. Let me know which one you like better. The only thing I really changed up here was the polka dots at the top. And then this is probably a little more, not serious, but it's definitely more traditional, right? This one is just more fun. I think the polka dots add quite the layer of fun there. So those are just a really simple, easy way that you can use some of your punches in your, just take your designer series paper and whatever you've got and create some really awesome, cute little cards. So that's our first card tonight. Pretty quick and easy. I'm trying to kind of show you like some easier cards at this point because the holidays are fast approaching and things get like really crazy this time of the year. I'm going to just check really quickly. Come on over to Facebook. I see. Hi, Pauline, Lynn. Oh, hi, you guys. I cannot pronounce your name. I'm terrible with names. Hi from the Cape. I would love to know how you pronounce your name, Ms. Boone. Oh, this is great. And hi, Melissa. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining me tonight. So awesome. All right, this is going to be our second card, and we are going to go really basic, like really basic white and blue for this one. And sometimes it's fun to just mix it up and not use all red and green. So this is just a thick white embossing folder. And again, I've got that layer, that 4 by 5 1/4 layer. We're going to actually do an embossing folder on there. This one is the Time Worn type, and I love this one. If I lift this up, you might be able to see a little bit of the embossing. Just having that little hint of embossing in the background just really adds quite a bit, elevates the cards, just because, a white on white is really nice if you're going for a plain and simple card. Sometimes you want to dress it up just a smidge though. So I'm going to go ahead and put this white cardstock in my embossing folder using this nice little line here on the bottom. And I actually need to bring back in my big emboss machine here so that we can take care of this. So we are going to do same thing with plates. We've got the base plate number 1 and the embossing folder with the hinge first going in. And this again is a 3D embossing folder, so we're sending it through with plate number 4. Set that one aside. And then here is our emboss piece, and I love this one. So this is like one of my favorite embossing folders. And even though it's not necessarily Christmas, it just gives like a little hint. It almost looks like it could be a snowstorm actually, which is kind of funny. Not funny because, snowstorms, but just still, it's wintry. This is a wintry card. And let's see if I can convince some glue to come out of here. There we go. We are moving along here. Now there are a few words on here, so you do want to be careful with your orientation. It's really hard to read them, but you can see there are some words on here. So if you're using this embossing folder, just keep that in mind when it goes on so that it's going in the right direction. It's always good to double check that. All right, so we have some really fun paper here, and you may be wondering, what Christmas paper is this? What winter mix is this? This is actually from the Gnomes collection, and this is the Storybook Gnomes. And so again, heavy on imagery on some of this card, these papers, but look how pretty some of the back sides are. There are some fabulous blues, which we're using, of course. So you've got, well, there's gnomes and mushrooms on there, so there's really no getting around some of these patterns. This one is also really sweet. This is some Christmas trees on the back of that one. Love that one. So on the back of these, there are some really great winter mix type colors. I mean, look how beautiful, right? So we're actually using this really bright blue pattern today. And this is actually Pacific Point. So I have a scrap of Pacific Point here for my my punched piece. Oh, look how pretty this is. Let me just flip this over really quickly because that's kind of nice too. Now, you know what? I'm going to think about this before I put this together. I do also like the trees, and that's on the back side of this. If you get these card kits at home, you're going to get the embossed piece. You're going to get all of the pieces cut out for you. You're going to be doing the stamping and assembling. I'm going to leave that because I might want to actually use that. Let me cover my glue up here for a hot second because I feel like it was thinking about drying up on me. We're going to do our sentiment. So again, this is focusing on the Hope and Peace. So I've grabbed this one, Peace on Earth, Goodwill to All. And we're actually going to do some embossing. So I've got a scrap here of the Pacific Point. I wanted to say pool party. So if I said pool party, sometimes when I'm talking here, I'm just like, I'm doing things and talking at the same time. And I watch these back later and I'm like, why did I say that word? That's not what I was talking about. So just bear with me if I'm not using the correct colors or saying the wrong things, because that's just the allure here of live and also watching somebody do something while they're talking. All right, so here is my Peace on Earth, Goodwill to All, and white embossing powder. And we're going to bring in our heat tool next. Get that started up real quick. And I've got this nice little tray here that I can put this on so I don't get my fingers too warm. And we'll get going on this heat embossing. Okay, I think we're good. So there we go. Now we're going to bring in another punch, and this is again a punch that's going to be on sale starting tomorrow. This is almost one that you may not have seen in the annual catalog. It has kind of a funny circular shape because it's kind of ruffled or wobbly. I think I'm going to trim the corner here just a little bit. So I'm trimming the corner here so that I can get my punch to fit in here better, hopefully. Nope, we're going to trim a little bit more. We'll try this again. I like to be able to have some space on the side where I can hold on to it and kind of move it around, but definitely needs to fit in the punch area. I think that's pretty good right there. And there we go. So this is kind of an odd circular shape. It's still circular, but it's got some interesting, almost like flower petal or ruffles going on there with it. So it's definitely a different one. It's not part of a bundle. It is a new punch to the catalog this year. So again, I wanted to kind of highlight things, especially punches that are on sale tomorrow. So here is our Peace on Earth. And we have that very nicely heat embossed with the white powder. And I'm actually going to bring in, again, I'm going to do some more blending. This time I'm bringing in my brush and the Pacific Point. So I'm just going to make the edges of this really dark. So I'm going to just go ahead and get some on here, and I'm just going to start bringing this in just on the outer edges of this. I'm going to kind of turn it and go. My fingers will probably get pretty blue here. And there we go, just kind of bringing that in. I'm leaving the center quite light, and you may notice that as I've done this, I've actually, like, some of the white embossing is no longer white. So I'm just going to bring in like a Kleenex here, and I'm just going to rub off the embossed areas a little bit here with this tissue. And what's happening is this is the emboss resist part. So the embossing is trying to not have the ink absorb into it. So you can kind of see on the tissue here where the ink has come off. And so I've pulled it off. You can really see it on the white here. And once you do that, it cleans it up a little bit so that the white, again, is much whiter and brighter. And we get some of that blue ink off of there. So I just wanted to show you that. If you've never done that, that is a really cool technique to do. All right, now I have to make decisions because I have to look at this beautiful paper and decide if I want to go in this direction. And you know what? I think I am. I think I'm going to do this because then it's always fun for me to say which one do you guys like better. So we're going to leave the trees up and we're going to glue the snowflakes down. This is the beauty of having this paper that's got two different designs on it. Sometimes it works really well to change it up. And I'm just going to go ahead and add this layer on here to my card front and put that on right about there. So it's not in the center. Now you could certainly center this if you wanted to, but I like it just a little bit here off to the right. So here's what I've got going on so far. And I'm going to bring in some really fun. This is iridescent. Well, this says iridescent. It's like a ribbon, but it's almost like yarn. It's like thick ribbon. And it's got like these little spiky iridescent tinsel effect to it, right? So actually I'm going to cut a bunch of this. I think I wrote this down. I was very generous. It was like 13 inches. I was like, wow, that's a lot. It's a big piece. And it is, again, it's a really thick kind of ribbon here. And I'm going to do one of those little pretend that I'm making a nice fancy bow. So I'm going to kind of just manipulate my ribbon so that it looks like I have two ends. So it looks like I have two ends this way and I have two loops this way, right? And I'm going to put this ribbon on here just like this. And when I cover it up, of course, this is what's going to be seen. It's just like a little bit of the loop here with the tails on each end. So it's going to go on there just like that. And I'm going to bring back in my tear and tape so that I can catch all these ends and keep it right over here. Now my sentiment is going to cover up where the tear and tape is. That's my favorite trick in the world. So I just have to peel this off of here. And sometimes I'll use the spatula end of my take your pick tool. Sometimes I'll use the edge of my scissors. It's definitely much easier to go that route. And there we go. Kind of make this look like it's a fake little bow here, right? So once I've covered this over, I've got it looks like it's underneath. I've got this little fake bow going on, which is awesome. Now again, this is a really thick ribbon. So when I put my dimensionals on the back of my sentiment, okay, let me put that over top of there real quick, and I'm just going to see that I need one up here by the piece, and I need one down here by the awl. So I'm going to just be putting them here. However, this is still really thick. This is a double decker of sentiment sandwiches. So I'm actually going to put on two, one on top of the other. And I'm not taking the stickies off. I mean, you probably could, but they're going to stick just the same. So I've got two dimensionals. So I'm just going to take off. Actually, that one came off this time. So let me just work with it. And now I got to remove that one and this one. My double decker sandwich here slid a little bit, but I think we'll still be okay. It's still on here. Okay, we're gonna squish that in, pull this up. This is live, having some technical difficulties with my dimensional here. Oh, go figure, right? Of all the things. I think it's because it's there's my little scissors here. It's such an odd little sandwich thing going on here. Oh my goodness. Bear with me. Stand by. I cannot believe I'm arguing with this little piece of dimensional paper for this long. It's almost like it doesn't want to come off. I'm wondering if I somehow made a big mess on this. This is all going to come off now because we're going to start over. So when I didn't take the other wrapper off, so we're kind of in the same position here. All right, we're going to do this differently. We're going to take off both of these papers. Sure we are. Okay. We're going to take off. This one has sticky on it. All right, that one has sticky. We're going to put a dimensional on. We'll take off the paper. I think sticking these on top of each other somehow messed up their whole little dimensional world here or something. I had no problems doing this on my other card earlier, so this is really odd to me. Okay, so one at a time, I'm putting them on. I take the stickers off, I put the next one on, and we are moving on. Here we go. Time-lapse photography here. All right, so I've got my 2 dimensionals on here. Again, this is a really thick ribbon, and I'm going to just go ahead and put this on here. So with my double-decker dimensionals that caused me so much woe tonight, there we go. We've got them over top of this fun ribbon. And let me just clear down my little mess here of dimensional drama. We're going to call this dimensional drama. I'm probably going to talk about this tomorrow as my Tooltip Tuesday technique. So there we go. We've got this beautiful card, and I think I added on some bling. This is iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. So this is what they are in the package, and I have some kind of loose here, but I made sure I had a package out that was full so I could remember what they're actually called, because all of these little gems and blings and things, they all have different names. I think I used a smaller one up here at the top. So I've got a couple down here at the bottom, one at the top. Now I feel like probably the rhinestones aren't quite as noticeable on the Christmas tree one, the blue trees here. So let me know which one you guys like better. Do you like traditional blue snowflakes? This is very blue and white, which I love. And then I just changed it up because sometimes I like to change it up. So I'm just curious to know which one of those you prefer. So go ahead and let me know in your comments below as you're watching along. And so, okay, we've got 2 cards in. We're 2 cards in already. So you can see we're really focusing on the sentiments here, right? We just got designer paper, sentiments, punch, and go. That's one of my favorite ways to be super quick and easy. Our last card, of course, I always take a little bit more time and effort, at least on one of them. And this is the next card we're making, and this one is just so beautiful. I absolutely love this, everything pretty much about this card. So again, we're kind of going into the blue direction tonight. And this is a Night of Navy card base. And I'm just going to grab out all my little parts and pieces. So, surprise, 4 by 5 1/4 white. We're going to work with that. And then we're going to do some stamping. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the paper on here. So you may be wondering, what designer paper is this? And I'm going to show you, as soon as I can find it here, how awesome is this paper. All right, so we have on this card here, this little piece right here, and I hope you can kind of see, maybe you can see it better here. There's a sheen to it. This card has a lot of textural elements. This is actually in the annual catalog. It is called Brushstroke Specialty Paper. So you do get 3 different colors, but this Night of Navy I thought was perfect to go with our card here tonight. And then of course I grabbed out some vellum. This is the Snowflake Specialty Vellum. Now this one's in the mini catalog, and this one has, some of it has the silver on it, some of it has raised white embossed, so it's like flocked, it's soft and snowy. This is really fun paper too. So these little elements on this card just kind of give it an extra fun. Of course, we're going to be using some really shiny, fancy ribbon too. So all these little extra elements here just kind of elevate this card up so nicely. All right, the first thing we're going to do though, we're going to stamp our church scene. And this, I did pull out an extra stamp set for this one. So this one is, actually I pulled out 2 extra stamp sets from this one. This is the Piece to You stamp set. So I'm just using the church scene, the snowy scene here. And then I'm also using a little snowflake here, and this is from the Christmas Lights stamp set. I did do a whole class on that one a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago. And then again, I'm using the Sentiment Emmanuel God With Us, which is from our Hope and Peace sentiment collection, and we're going to be using one of the Pick-a-Punches. So these are really fun. I put little sticker on the back that tell me my channels are 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch. So you can pick 3 different size, 3 different width sizes, and then of course you've got different toppers. And in the catalog, there's actually 2 different banner punches, pick punches, and again, those ones are going to be on sale starting tomorrow. So Those are fantastic. Love them. I use them quite a bit. So I'm bringing in my Stamparatus because this is one of those stamps that I feel like sometimes needs a little extra ink to get a really deep, dark coverage on it. And of course, we're going Night of Navy here. Now, I did not clean off, if you're looking at my stamp here off to the side, I did not clean this from earlier. When I was making this card, I didn't clean it off. I just left it because I knew I was going to be back in here getting it dirty again. So I figured, why not, right? So I have it all set up here. Just, I kind of knew exactly where I wanted to have this placement for my cardstock. Let's hope it all worked out. And I can see that I kind of, my magnet here left a little bit of a crooked line, if you can see that. And there's kind of some spots in here that could be a little bit darker. Now I'm going to try this again. And hopefully it works out really well. And I say hopefully because, to be honest, I've had some issues. I'm actually going to adjust my paper here slightly because I went with a small piece of paper and it probably could have been a bigger piece of paper. I may have to redo this. Just saying. And not because it's already been that kind of day. It's kind of like a Monday, right? Yep. I'm gonna have to redo it. So this is what happens, and I'm like, I like to show. I like to share and show, even when I mess up. So when I did it the second time, it kind of overlapped here a little bit, and my trees actually filled in. So you can kind of see how that is kind of messy there. So we're gonna try this. We're gonna try this again. I might not use that one. I might just use this one and hope we can get it in one. I think if we can get it in one, we might have a little bit better luck. And if not, it's just one of those nights here in the craft room, right, where things just don't go quite as planned. And that's why it's fun, right, to watch the lives occur. All right, this one's beautiful. I'm going to actually leave this one as is. So you can see, I'm going to lift this up again. Nice dark coverage. My trees are white. There's no blurry lines here around my windows and the door of the church. I'm going to flip it over because, again, this is the one where my trees got dark. We've got the blurry lines, and that's because it kind of double stamped over top because my paper moved here and I didn't have a big enough paper for my magnets to hold it securely. But I do have this image and I'm going to use this one, and I think this is a really cute little image. Now, I could have done a bigger paper, put my magnets on securely, and then trimmed it down, but I like to try to take as many shortcuts as I can. And I felt like this kind of reminded me of a Polaroid picture because it's got that little, the white space there. And it's just kind of that square, almost square image. So I just thought that was really fun. And there we have it. So you got to watch me work it around a little bit here. All right, so we've got that done. Now let's have some fun and stamp our snowflakes. I'm going to bring this in, Night of Navy. I just closed it up. And again, this is a little snowflake stamp from the Christmas Lights stamp set. And I'm just creating this beautiful background pattern. So this pattern here almost looks like it's designer paper. This is one of those where you get to make your own designer paper. And basically, it's just the will of where are these going to go. And I like to just kind of work my way down. And I'm not focusing on the outside because a lot of times this is all you're going to see is the outside. So your inclination may be just to go all the way around the outside. But I find that when you do focus on just the outside, it looks almost staged, I guess would be the word for it. It just looks like, you know, it's not quite natural. It's really hard to get the natural if you're not filling in the entire piece. And I also think it's a lot of fun just to stamp the entire piece. So why not, right? Just keep stamping. Okay, so we have so far our beautiful piece that we just stamped these blue snowflakes on. And that's going to go down here on our card base. There we go. All right, and then we're going to bring in our fancy papers. So again, these are the shimmery paper and the little piece of vellum. And I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue on here and put this. Now these are 4 inches. These are 1 inch by 4 inches. So I'm just going to find a spot that I'm comfortable laying this across, and it's going to come right across this white card base. right here. And then I'm going to do this, but I'm actually going to bring in my Stampin' Seal here. So the vellum, we all know that when we put vellum down, right, it's very see-through. So we just need a little bit. I'm going to just put it maybe right there. Now it's really hard to see, but I've got some tape right here, only here in the middle, because I'm going to cover that up with my church piece. So it's going to just be secured right here. But if I were to open this up and flap it around a little bit, it's not going to come loose. Even though the edges aren't taped down, it's perfectly fine just to catch that right there. This is going to come on here beautifully. But before we do that, we really need to work on our sentiment. I'm going to bring in the silver embossing powder this time. And I've got a little scrap of Night of Navy. So I'm just going to bring in my Emboss Buddy and bring in my Versamark again. And get my silver powder out. Get that ready. Looks like I got fuzzies in there. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink that up. Put that on there. And you know what I'm going to do before I do any of this? Before I get crazy, I'm going to do the punch part. So I'm going to go ahead and put this through here. We're going to just start over here. I'm going to go ahead and put this through here first because I want to line this up and get this all punched out first. So it just slides into this channel. You can always flip it over and look at the back and make sure you're straight, but it should go all the way to the back. And then we're just going to punch it, and we're going to get that little detailed edging. So that's the first step. We're going to do that. Now we're going to bring this back in because I just touched this paper all up and down and got my fingerprints on it, and my fingerprints have static. And the static and oils from my fingers are what's going to cause the powder to stick where I don't want it to be. So I've just stamped my sentiment with Versamark and cover some things up. So there's my sentiment. It's all good. We're going to heat emboss that, clean that up, and I find my heat tool. I find it's very, very helpful to cover up your embossing powder or to move it back into the jar if you're keeping it in the jar before you turn on your heat tool. Because as soon as you turn on your heat tool, if you have loose powder anywhere, it's going to go flying with the airflow from your heat gun. All right, so here we go. And this is just beautiful. The silver on blue is just so gorgeous. And that heated up just really quickly and nicely. So it was very important really to do the punching before I did all of the rest of that little sentiment on there. And I almost forgot to get those things done in the correct order. All right, so I'm gonna find my dimensionals here, and I'm actually gonna put my little Polaroid church down with dimensionals. I'm gonna call this Polaroid church. Here we go. 4 dimensionals. Now, these should be easy peasy to remove because it's just single dimensionals. There we go. Look at that. No problems. And I'm going to just cant this off to the side just a little bit for fun. So I like it just kind of a little bit crooked there. And then the sentiment is going to come on down here. And a lot of the sentiment is going to be actually hitting this paper here. So the only place that I think I might need a dimensional is actually off to the bottom here. So if I just kind of dry fit again, that's perfect. I can add glue here along this section and take off this little dimensional paper. So now I've got a dimensional here on my project, and I can line this up down here, making sure I cover the dimensional. And I actually have my sentiment that kind of just butts right over straight across here to the white cardstock layer. And there's that part. So pretty. Now there's no Night of Navy ribbon right now. I mean, I could have used white, I could have used silver. This is actually the Starry Sky, which is one of the in colors. And it's so close to Night of Navy. It works really well. So I thought this would be perfect to go on this card. And again, it's got the shimmer, it's got the just kind of that textural content here. See where I want to trim this up here. And it just adds that little bit of sheen here, which follows through here with our embossing and with our vellum and that really shiny brushstroke paper. Just all so pretty. Little tiny elements. And the nice thing is, I only used a little tiny bit of all of those specialty papers. So if you, because you know, when you buy them, they're a little bit more expensive to buy and you get a little bit less. Sometimes you get 2 sheets, sometimes you get, you know, 3 sheets or whatever. So maybe you don't want to use them all up immediately, right? You want to have some to last you for a while. So by using just small strips of them on your card, and you'll be able to get a lot more value from those particular products. I'm going to add on some iridescent pearls. Now these are just like our regular pearls, but they have like a little iridescent shimmery shine to them. And I thought that would be really pretty here, again, with all the fun little elements we've got on our card. I actually used, I'm going to go ahead and, whoops. Oh my goodness. It's like a Monday. And I usually don't have Monday problems. So this is kind of a interesting take for me today. Yeah, so I'm just going to add a couple more of these small ones up here. Kind of a couple of them up here, and I put one down here. And this one, of course, I didn't change this one up at all because I just think it's simply beautiful just the way it is. I really love this card and how simple it was. Now again, with the Stamparatus, if you were making a lot of these, you would definitely, the Stamparatus would be the way to go because it's just easy to like just continuously stamp that and not have to worry about getting everything lined up every time. So let's take a look at our cards again for today. We had, oh look, blue. We were blue heavy for a little bit here, weren't we? And I was feeling the blues. And then we've got this really pop of the red and green, the very traditional cards here. So this is our card class, and it was all featuring the Hope and Peace, really focusing on sentiments for cards and just ways that you can really use those. You don't need to have a lot of stamps. You don't need to have a lot of paper. You can definitely mix and match and create some really fantastic cards. So let me know in the comments which one is your favorite from tonight. Okay, let me move back over to me. Hello, hello, hello. The church card Jess loves, I know, snowflakes on blue. So I know that Jess is a blue fan because she always votes for all of the blue things. So over on Positive Paper Crafters on Wednesday, I like to do a color swap. So one of these cards will have a color swap version where I pretty much do the same design and change up the colors just to see which one. We call it who wore it better. So we like to see maybe the blue one, maybe the pink one, maybe the purple one. It just depends on which card I choose and how I swap them out. Melissa says her favorite's the Emmanuel one. Yeah, that one is really pretty. It's very elegant too. So we started kind of with the fun cards, and then we kind of worked our way into the elegant cards. So yes, that was our card class for today. Don't forget the sale starts tomorrow. I have papers everywhere. Seasonal sale starts tomorrow. 4 days. Annual catalog. There is it's a huge list. So you can go online tomorrow to the online store, and probably there will be a tab. Stampin' Up! Is really good about putting little tabs up that you can just click on a tab that says seasonal sale. It's probably going to show you everything that is on sale, so you can see if it's 20%, if it's 10%, you know, all that good stuff. So check out the seasonal sale. It starts tomorrow, ends on Friday. Again, if you're shopping and using my host code, you're going to get the card kits from tonight's class for free so that you can to create these at home. And again, you'll be doing your own stamping. So the only one that you really have to work around is the Emmanuel card. If you don't have those stamps, you'll have to get creative and use whatever you have to fill in your white paper, but you'll get all of the fancy papers and just make some beautiful cards. So there we go. That's our card class. Don't forget to sign up for my November card class. You already get a sneak peek at these cards as well. That sign up is on my blog. If you need the link, let me know in the comments and I will pass that along to you as well. And that's it for today. I'm so glad that you guys joined me for my card class, and I will be back again next Monday. We'll do some more fantastic cards together. Check us out on Positive Paper Crafters on Wednesday to see what's happening over there too. And until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, and share the love. Bye everybody.